Alright, let's dive into something mind-blowing today, literally. Have you ever noticed how some memories from your teenage years just vanish? Like, you can't recall that one epic summer adventure or that awkward first date, no matter how hard you try. Well, a recent study just dropped a bombshell about why this happens, and it's not just about being forgetful. It's about your brain doing some serious remodeling. Here's the deal. Researchers found that memories formed in early adolescence can become temporarily inaccessible later on. And the culprit? A mesh of protein wrapped around certain brain cells. Sounds like sci-fi, right? But here's where it gets wild. This mesh thins out during adolescence, and those early memories seem to fade with it. Personally, I think this is fascinating because it challenges the idea that our brains are just static storage units. What many people don't realize is that memory isn't just about storing information, it's about how our brains prioritize and reorganize that information over time. Now, let's zoom in on the science. The study focused on the retrosplenial cortex, a region of the brain that helps store long-term memories. What's really interesting here is that this area doesn't just hold onto memories, it actively reshapes them. In mice, those early adolescent memories eventually came back in adulthood, but they were different. The specifics were gone, like a faded photograph. This raises a deeper question. If our brains are rewriting these memories, what does that say about the reliability of our own recollections? I mean, if you take a step back and think about it, this could explain why some people remember their teenage years as this blur of emotions rather than clear events. Here's where it gets even more intriguing. The researchers discovered that perineuronal nets, basically, these dense cages of sugar and protein around neurons, play a huge role in this process. These nets thin out during adolescence, and when they do, those early memories become harder to access. But here's the kicker, when the nets rebuild later in adulthood, the memories come back, but they're not the same. It's like your brain is trading precision for emotional resonance. A detail I find fascinating is that this process mirrors something called the reminiscence bump, where older adults tend to recall more events from their teens and early 20s, but often with a focus on how those events felt rather than the details. Now, let's talk about the bigger picture. This study doesn't just explain why you can't remember that one song from middle school, it might also shed light on mental health. Schizophrenia and major depression often first appear in late adolescence, right around the time this brain remodeling is happening. In my opinion, this isn't a coincidence. If you think about it, a period of brain instability could be a vulnerable window for these disorders to take root. What this really suggests is that understanding this process could lead to new ways to protect mental health during those critical years. One thing that immediately stands out is how this research redefines adolescence. We used to think it ended around 19, but now scientists are saying it extends into the mid-20s, aligning with when the brain fully matures. From my perspective, this makes so much sense. Adolescence isn't just about physical changes, it's about your brain rewiring itself for adulthood. And that rewiring? It's messy, unpredictable, and absolutely necessary. So, what's the takeaway here? Personally, I think this study is a game changer. It's not just about explaining why we forget things. It's about understanding how our brains evolve over time. If you're like me and you've ever wondered why some memories stick while others fade, this research gives us a glimpse into the intricate dance happening inside our heads. But here's the real question, if our brains are constantly remodeling, what does that mean for our sense of self? Are we the sum of our memories, or is there something more? Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm genuinely curious to hear your thoughts on this.